Hello, everybody. This is Vitaly, and I'm talking to you from Vancouver. It's 7 p.m. I don't know if you heard, there were sounds of appreciation for first responders and all the people who protect us and keep us safe and work hard so we could stay home. Oh, hey, Larry Taylor. Now, I started doing magic when I was about 15 years old, and it was in my parents' living room. And that's where I got to practice. I was performing for my parents' guests. Whenever somebody visited our home, they had to see some magic. And since then, I performed around the world, different stages, and on television. And it's funny that after all these years, here I'm back performing in my living room. However, tonight, you're my guests. And when I was performing as a kid, I also used to paint. And one of the first things I did, I'm going to show you actually, I had a little notepad that I carried around to paint my inspirations, my impressions. And for example, I used to go to nature, and I'm going to do a little drawing right now. I'm going to draw, let's see if you can figure it out. I'm probably guessing that it's a leaf. That's correct. And one of the things I love about magic is that not only you can put your imagination to paper, but you can actually make it real. And not only that, but you can remove it from the page, just like that. And this is what got me into magic. And these kind of the things that I show to people in my house. And of course, it's different because when people are in my house, they can touch things, they can examine, they can talk. But I don't see you. Like, you can post comments, and we're going to do a Q&A after it, and I can answer your questions. But hey, Ray. But I thought, what can we do? And I thought maybe we will try something. I will play a performance, and that some of you already seen, and then I will give you some inside information, perhaps some trivia, behind the scenes information. So why don't you try that, see how that works. We're going to play Penn and Teller Fool Us Appearance. So let's do it.
Let's meet our first potential fooler.
I'm Vitaly Beckman. I'm an illusionist. I was born in the Soviet Union. Everybody was...
That's a photo of my grandma, actually. This is not my mom. This is my grandma and my dad. And my grandma today, she's 97 years old in Israel. Let's keep watching.
Admiring culture and art. And I always looked at magic as an art form. Magic is very old. They say that in the pyramids, there are paintings of somebody's doing the cups and bowls.
And this, of course, is real. This is not Photoshop. This is the Sphinx.
I used to paint as a kid. My act is about bringing art to life. Sometimes I'm being inspired from...
A more complicated illusion that the one I just did with a leaf. It's an illusion that took me several years to create, where ink moves and then it forms a picture that comes out of a page. And I do it in my real life show. And of course, here I am introduced by Alison Hennigan.
Thank you.
That says Siberia. I don't know why they did that because I actually never been there.
I was actually born in Soviet Union. And since I speak English, but talk Russian, I sound like Borat. And I look like Seinfeld. But hey, speaking of...
Told me I sound like Borat and that I look like Seinfeld. Many people approach me in airports and say, have anybody ever told you that you look like Seinfeld? And of course I said, I never heard that one before. So I decided, why don't I just start my show with that?
Alison, would you help me out?
Oh,
Let's hear it for Alison Hennigan.
Oh.
Thank you very much, Alison.
Oh, my pleasure.
Alison, we haven't prearranged anything, right?
No.
Good, because I've got here...
So this is interesting.
I'll ask you to hold on to the box for me. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Alison to select a card. Now, normally, I would ask her to remove a card, but this, I thought I would do something more complicated, and I will ask her to just think of a card. And I'm going to show her the cards, so it's very, very fair. and she can just remember one card. Now, one thing that you do not see on the show is that she picked a card and then she changed her mind. So she's going to stop me on one of these cards, remember it, and then say, you know what, let's go a couple of cards more. And then we did that again. She stopped me again. Now, they cut that part out of the show, I guess to keep the show moving and keep it entertaining. But I actually think it's too bad if they kept it. It would have made things more amazing to know that she actually thought of two cards and changed her mind. And here I was watching at Penn and Teller face, and I was watching how intensely Teller was looking at every move I made, which made me a little nervous. But I kept going. So let's keep watching as I show the photos from my child.
Now,
Yeah.
right? Well, here's my family photo album, and here is me as a kid. I was very small.
And I noticed the sandals. I think I have to talk to my parents about their fashion choice there. But that's real me. And later, the next photo you will see, I think the second photo, I was a little older. That was from my first day in school when I was wearing a Russian uniform.
My parents, they bought me a magic set, and I did my first card trick. Is that the one?
Still no, but very cute.
So you like my cuteness, but it's not the card.
Right.
Okay, but you know what? I got better a few years later. I became bigger too. I started to travel. Here I am in Paris.
Oh.
Jack of clubs. Allison? No?
No.
I've got a lot more photographs here.
52?
Yeah, I traveled to 52 places.
Great. Get comfortable.
All pictures in this photo album, and last the very show the very last photo of traffic in London. And the inspiration for this act came when I was actually looking at a photograph of cars, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could suddenly hear the picture, and wouldn't it be cool if it's animated? And so that's how the whole illusion came about, and it was 10 years ago that I developed it. That's why maybe the photo album looks so big. I read some comments where people try to guess how it works, and some of them commented some funny things about maybe a printer hidden in a photo album, and it's pretty funny to me to read those.
No? Allison, let's have a look at it a little closer.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
I heard that.
Listen one more time, listen one more time. Thank you. Actually, you know what, Allison? Let me take this out for you. I want you to see this up close. So have a look, Allison. Is this a regular photograph?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. That is so cool.
Thank you very much. You can keep this as a souvenir. Big hand to Allison, everybody.
Penn and Teller are going to try to discuss and work it out as I talk to Allison. And they, in real life, they had a few more minutes to talk about it than they showed on the television program. And I think I challenged them quite a bit because I did something sneaky. I did two puzzles. I prepared two puzzles to solve. The first one is how the photograph moved, and the second one is the card. How did the card get there? And I think it certainly made their life complicated. So I did not know if I'm actually going to fool them, but I thought there is a good chance I would. And so I was kind of optimistic but cautious. And at this point, you can see they look quite puzzled and challenged. But I think they figure out they went with multiple outs.
So good to see an act that has animation in it. Animation where things move and you see them, and then it's not an iPad. It's not a screen. There's something so magical. You know, 30 years ago, if you did a trick and had a flat screen where something moved, that'd be the most magical thing you could have seen. Now, in the 21st century, the most magical thing you can do is pull out a good old printed picture and show that to people as a miracle. I want to praise you on that.
Thank
I
you.
want to also, where'd you say you were from?
I was born in Russia.
And how much do you know about baseball?
Not much.
Well, you know that
I know they spit.
What's that? They spit, and they throw a
They're
ball
not going
around.
to spit on you. I'm
And you
pretty
also might
sure.
know
So,
that there's
I
not
didn't know
just one out, there's not just two out, but there's
Third-
multiple outs. Did you know that about baseball?
Right.
That
I think you're trying to give me a code with multiple.
was spitting. That's what I know about baseball, that people spit. But then he mentioned multiple outs, and I know what multiple out means. He meant that on every card I could have select, or sorry, Ellison could have select, I would have a different photo or a different photo album or a different outcome. And of course, at that time, I realized they're definitely on the wrong direction, because there's no multiple outs in this effect. And in the real life, I think they asked me a couple more questions than what you're about to see, but eventually they had to give up and admit that they don't know how it works. So let's keep watching.
Outs.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
It's not true.
No.
There's no multiple outs.
No.
Only one way it can go.
Yes.
And there's no limited. Could she have really picked any one of 52 cards?
Well, did you have a free choice?
Yes.
So I want to say, if we can't welcome you by saying baseball has multiple outs, we can welcome you to America by saying you fooled Penn and Teller.
And you can see that Teller was, he whispered something very nice, complimentary to my ear, and they were very kind and gracious. But I want you to notice what happens when I leave the stage, because once I leave the stage here, it's about to happen, I want you to watch Penn and Teller. Here, I'm leaving the stage, and I want you to look at Penn as he's starting to examine the props. He's taking the cards and the photo, and he's looking for the secret, which I thought was really funny. So that's it was a blast. I hope you enjoy that blast from the past. And of course, part of the show rules, I had to go back and perform with Penn and Teller as in part of their live show, which was great. And I was there in the audience. Penn introduced me by saying that SOB fooled us. And you know that when Penn says something like that, that's a compliment. And he said a lot of nice things. Like he said, a lot of people are fooling them. So we have a comment from Pascal after the show. Do you have a chat with Penn and Teller and reveal your technique? I did chat with Teller and Penn after the show. We spent some time after the show, which was great. And we didn't really go into the details. So they never told me if they learned anything when they were examining those props after I left. But I did have to reveal the secret to the judges. At that time, it was the late Johnny Thompson and Mike Close. So I'm guessing that Penn and Teller, if they did not learn it, that Mike Close and Johnny probably told them how it works. But it was a lot of fun, and we talked about. Yeah, they didn't tell me much of what they know, so I don't know yet. I'll have to ask. But if you have any questions, thanks, Mark. Mark just wrote just great. If you have any questions you want to ask me, this is the time. I can answer them live. If not, I can tell you. Maybe, I don't know if there's anything else. I saw Ray Rock there. I saw Mark. I saw, who else was there? Pascal. So thank you very much. It's great to catch up. I hope you're all doing well during these times. I'm using the time. I'm working on new material, working on different projects at the same time. So I'm excited that when we're all free to go back to the real world, then you will see a lot of new magic, a lot of new surprises. So yeah, now Ben, Ben is our producer. Should we wrap it up or? Oh, right. And oh yeah, of course. I also want to thank Artists on Lockdown. Artists on Lockdown is our producer who is doing all of this. They're all volunteering, and it's great to be on their channel. So thanks for having me, and thank you all for joining us to my living room. And till next time. And thank you, Steve Love.